years ago, anyway. I get lost, I guess. I'm Kevin Lynch, President of Club Rotary Harrisville, Club Street, Paul Harrisville, Club Street. Providing invitation today is Barbara Sexton Smith, Deputy Mayor, City of Louisville, and also Paul Harrisville +5.
Okay. All right. For whom much is given, much is expected. And fellow Rotarians and guests, I gave a lot of thought to our invocation today, and I waffled between making it really personal and how I wanted to carry the message. So I asked our speaker today, when I saw her the other day, what her thoughts were on that, and she said, just bring what you believe and bring what you feel. So I'm going to share with you as you prepare to pray along with me in whatever manner you choose to do so, standing, seated, bowed, not eyes open, eyes closed, hands folded, hands down, however you choose to do that. I'm going to pray the prayer that I pray every morning the minute I get into my automobile, because I am not alone. Please prepare to pray with me. The Lord really is my shepherd. I shall not want. And he really does maketh me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside those very still waters. And yes, he restores my soul as he prepares to lead me in the paths of righteousness in his name's sake. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for I know thou art with me, and thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me every day in the presence of my enemies. And thou anointest my head with oil, and yes, my cup really does runneth over. And surely, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever and ever. All God's people say along with me, Amen.
Amen, Barbara, pretty good. Probably most people in this room could recite that without looking at a piece of paper. My wife grew up about 10,000 miles from here in South Korea. She does that in Korean. That was over there when she was a kid. When she was a kid, they taught the same Psalm 23. Different language, I don't understand it. Our leaders in the pledge and forward test today, Denise Sears, CEO of SOS International. She's also a co-chair of the West Louisville Housing Initiative and vice chair of the Community Impact Committee.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the four-way test.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thanks, Steve. She's also one of the most active people in our community. She's got a lot of respect for our club as well. It's time to introduce your guests. So Rotarians with guests, go back to the mic back there and introduce them. Introduce yourself first and the name, title, and organization of your guest. Hey, Ken.
Hello, President Kevin Gwinn-Villaroel here. I met two yesterday, both from Education for Justice, Ron Moore and Mike Mays.
President Kevin, fellow Rotarians, I'm Kevin Fields, Club Director and Chair of the Club DI Committee. Please introduce my guest today. His name is Alex Gasaway. Alex is a program manager for the Secure Violence Initiative of city government. He works in the California neighborhood on a project called California Proud.
President Kevin, I'm Fred Cowan, my guest today. If you can stand up, please. Kathy McClure is a friend of mine. She's a partner at White Tarrant Combs and an expert in cyber security, among other things.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Jones, mortgage loan officer of South Jersey Bank and CEO CEO of Like a Shot Beverage Bar. My guest today is Stan Raphael Stewart. He's a native of Columbus, Georgia, and moved to Louisville in 2016 while serving the U.S. Army. While stationed here, he served the community by helping many young men and women join the military. After retiring from the military, he now serves in the Kentuckiana area as a realtor with Seminole Realtors. He is married and has 3 teenage children. Thank you for your service and welcome.
That was more getting into. Guests, after luncheon, please join Craig Sherman over the corner table that says, "What is Rotary?" A little more about our club and what we do and what you can do. I'd like to invite us up here President-elect Lori Flannery to talk a little bit about our process for electing new officers and directors.
Thank you, President Kevin. Okay, fellow Rotarians, it is time to elect new officers and directors for the upcoming Rotary year. You should have received an email yesterday with information about the proposed slate of candidates, as well as a link to the ballot form. So the link is actually right in the email. At next week's meetings, you will have the opportunity to hear much more about each of the candidates. For the Rotary Club Board, they are Ken Salvaggi for a 1-year term as President-elect, Craig Mooney for a 2-year term as Treasurer, and for 2-year terms as board members at large, we have Gary Dryden, Alyssa Gray, Louis Straub, and Maggie Harlow. For the Rotary Fund Board, we have a 3-year at-large term, and for that we have Michelle Black-White. Voting is open to all current active members, so that does not include anybody who is currently on leave or as an honorary member, but all other members are encouraged to vote. The voting will be open until noon on Thursday, December 14th. And the outcome of the election will be announced at our annual meeting, which is in conjunction with our holiday party at Big Spring Country Club at 7 o'clock on Thursday, December 14th. We thank the members on the slate for agreeing to support our Rotary Club through leadership and governance. This is just one more wonderful way to express your service above self.
Thanks, Laura. And just one point, I just realized the people running for these officers do take bribes, so if you have 50 bucks, be careful. And let's get out there. Everybody registered to vote. I'd like to now encourage, I'd like to ask, I'll ask Kuno, President of Rotary Club last year, immediate past president, and one of the best time presidents ever to the stage here. He's probably always called a plus 3.
This is one of the really, truly fun things that I get to do, and trying to remember back when we started working with educational justice. Moshe Ohayon came and spoke to our club several years ago, and actually, I don't know, I think it was Mike. I met Mike first at Western High School. It's just kind of how Rotary works. So we're working at Western High School trying to make them better. And meet Mike, meet Moshe, and now meet Brian. And we've been doing great work at Western Iroquois, but I'm going to let, we'll make a big check and let Brian, the executive director, tell you a little bit about what's going on with educational justice today. So here's the big check.
Well, just like you, Walt, one of my favorite things to do is get big checks. I love that. For those who don't know our organization, we are trying to bridge the academic equity gap in our community at scale. And the way we're doing that is trying to address the needs of middle middle school students who fall behind academically, who don't have the resources to get those extra after-school, extra after-school assistance, by recruiting high school students who are performing really well academically to commit their community service hours for a year or more to a single student. It's a really, really beautiful way for our community to give back and for us to develop leadership with those high school students, because they're going to be our future leaders, in the coming years. Last year, we were fortunate enough to get support from Rotary Club, and I want to remind you that, when this organization was just starting in 2016, it was an idea of Moshe's, but there are people who saw that idea and understood how powerful it could be as a movement for assisting students in our community. And we were really fortunate for Rotary to come on board as one of our first stage funders to help us grow the organization. I see Barry Freer from Eats Foundation. They were also a foundational early support for the organization. But I can tell you that we have built off of that momentum. And today, we are really kind of moving to the vision of scale that our founder had anticipated back when he started this particular part of our program in 2016. Last year when I picked up our check, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure where we were at, and a lot of us did not know. It's hard to remember that just a little over a year ago, students were going back to school and we were still dealing with COVID restrictions, right? We didn't know if kids were actually going to be in school and if they were going to be able to accomplish the things they needed to academically. What a difference a year makes. For us last year, we had around 100 pairs of kids operating. Right now, we have over 200, and overall, we have 700 kids in our system. And our outline goal this next 2 to 3 years is to get that number well over 1,000 middle school students being served in our community. And that's the kind of scale, impact, and innovation that I think we can bring to that conversation. So I want to thank Walt, I want to thank Mike, I want to thank all of you that have supported our organization. We're going to use these dollars, in fact, to help support our new club system we're developing in high schools. So our high schools are beginning to develop groups of kids who are now doing our recruitment work and doing some of that support at the school level. We have 5 clubs right now, and we're hoping to expand that to every high school in the city in the next couple of years. We're going to use that money not only to support their activities, but also some scholarships for those students. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. I've worked with Brian quite a bit. Actually, I was on the board of what was called Kratos Asia Institute. He did a phenomenal job at that organization, and also recommended him for his job as Director of Office of Globalization. But last year, I was Director of Office of Globalization for the city, and he was one of the former ones, and Sue Oscar was the first one, actually the first one ever made official, who's going to be a member of our club next week. We all get together along with the current person that almost is there a month and develop a strategy for the city on what we want to do about immigration, about international issues, etc. He did a phenomenal job of that. And Mike, I've never worked with Mike, but he's just a wonderful person. You see him in the community a lot. He's always upbeat. He's always trying to help people. And he's got things you have to mind in the heart of military. I'd like to invite to the stage Amy Luttrell, President and CEO of Goodwill Industries of Kentucky, Rotary Foundation Chair, and Major Donor Level 2.
Thank you, Kevin. So it's hard to believe tomorrow is December. So today we are wrapping up Foundation Month, which was November, and we've been making some presentations all during this month just to kind of highlight the opportunity that we all have to be part of some really impactful projects that Rotary International heads up with all the 46,000 clubs that we have across the world, Rotary clubs. And today we want to recognize Ernie Kamantz, who has been absolutely a steadfast giver to the Rotary Foundation, which is Rotary International's nonprofit arm. So we have Ernie has achieved a Paul Harris Fellow 8, so he's at that 8th level. So he sent a video message for us here today to share with us why he gives. So Delene, are you ready?
I'm ready, and the sound isn't great. I apologize, but
Okay, well, I'll be real quiet.
I filmed it outside, so hopefully you can hear.
Tuesday and Rotary is one of my favorite places where I can feel good about giving money to the foundation. And I've been a member since 1973, and I will always be a member of Rotary when I'm in Rome, Kentucky, wherever. And I've still got friends in Rotary with John McCallum, and what else can I say? But it's part of my life right here. Even though I was very busy with the business, I always have time for the Rotary meetings, and I feel good when I can give annually at least $1,000. And we'll continue that as long as I live.
Thank you, Ernie.
So I hope you were able to hear Ernie, but if you missed any of it, I'll just say 3 things that he included in his video to us. And one was he's been Rotarian for 50 years. Isn't that amazing? And second, he also said how much it means to him to be a Rotarian. And then I also heard him mention that he gives to the Rotary Foundation because of how well managed it all is. And, you know, I personally don't give to any international causes except for Rotary Foundation because I know there are Rotarians in those countries and they're there involved, making sure that that is well managed and things are done like they need to be. And it's very satisfying to be involved in some of those things. So let's just give Ernie a hand and we'll tell him we did that. I just want to mention a couple more things before I give it back to President Kevin. And one is, if you have not given to the foundation yet this year, and that means Rotary year, so that started in July, it goes July to June. So if you gave in March, sometime before next June, we hope you will give again. But this is, we talk about this to just kind of jog people's memory. I know we're all kind of procrastinators. 100% of it, we think, well, I'm going to do that when I get around to it. And sometimes we might not get around to it. So our goal in doing these things is not to hit anybody over the head with it, with that need to give, but to, number one, try to make it as easy as we can to give, because we know that's a barrier if it's complicated. And then second, just to give people a gentle nudge to either form a new habit or renew an old habit that might have lapsed. So the QR code is here on the screen. You can use that. That'll take you to the right site to give. You just got one email from Delene about that I think had a link in it, ways to give. And so if you have not yet given in this Rotary program year, she is going to be sending out an invoice to us. And that'll be sometime in December. It'll be for $100, but you can change the amount if you want to. And again, that's just to help make it easier for people, or if you've been meaning to get around to it and you haven't gotten around to it yet, that'll be a good little nudge. As always, if you need an update on your past giving, you want to know where you are, any questions about how to do it, you can contact Delene or me or Mike Cool. And we'll all be glad to help you, give you any help you need to make that happen. Okay? Thanks a lot, everybody.
By the way, I'm not sure why I invited her to the stage. It looks pretty lovely. I'm still learning this language. Today I've got the privilege of introducing LMPD Chief of Police Jacquelyn Gwinn-Villaroel. She's done a great job. And I want to just mention, we had a meeting with her about, I guess, 15 or 20 people, maybe 6 to 7 months into her job. And We were very impressed. With the half-day session, with several different speakers, and with her, she gave a presentation, but there was more of a conversation. And what came out of that, how all these issues are so integrated. And she understands the impact of getting the community and understand the community center, rather than just go there, in the traditional, overpowering way necessarily. But she's really has such a strong background in the police force. And frankly, she did some positions she got. I'll read it in a second here. But it would have been shorter if I just said what she didn't do in the police force. But we appreciate that. Anyway, Mayor Greenberg appointed Jacquelyn Gwinn-Villaroel as interim chief of police at the police department on January 2nd this year. On July 20th, after a comprehensive nationwide search, the mayor selected her to be the first female African-American police chief in both Louisville and Kentucky's history. Prior to serving as interim chief, she was appointed as LMPD's deputy chief in 2021, coming up from Atlanta, and was second in command for the police department at that time. She began her law enforcement career with the Atlanta Police Department in 1997, where she served as a patrol officer, a field investigation officer, and worked as a detective in vice, narcotics, gangs and guns, and domestic violence. A lot of those are things that become TV shows, I think. Upon promotion to sergeant, she had the opportunity to work in patrol, the police training academy, and the personnel human resources section. In 2020, she was promoted to the rank of major and assigned to the police training academy. Chief Gwinn-Villaroel has a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in public safety administration. She is the wife, mother, and founder, senior pastor of Unstoppable Praise Ministries. Thank you, Jeff.
Good afternoon. Wow, it's good to be in this room with such energy and great leadership, and I'm very fortunate to have been asked to be a part of this meeting. It's always an honor and a privilege for me to be able to go into spaces and forums where people want to see things different. They want better for Louisville. They desire for us to be on a path that is great and that we are being very progressive in our thought processes and to be willing to break down some of these walls and to change. It's good. It is good. We're in a different season now that we should all want to embrace. What does that look like and how can I play a pivotal role in that arena? So Rotarians, thank you for allowing me to be here and the other guests, and to the deputy mayors that are here with me also today as support, and to Ms. Yolanda Baker, my assistant, who keeps a tight rope on me. So if it's not on my calendar, blame her, not me, because I didn't get it. But I thank you so much, and President Kevin, thank you. So when I was asked, what are we going to talk about today? And one of the topics was leadership. And I said, what can I say about leadership? I think I have a little bit to say, if you'll bear with me for a few minutes, because I do want to open it up for questions of me, because I really want to hear what you have to ask me, and I want to be able to give you a true response. So leadership, and when I was thinking about leadership 101 versus leadership 1001, when we're thinking about leadership, we're thinking about an individual, an entity that is driving change and is over an organization. A group of people who are driving a sector, a group of individuals in a direction and hoping that we get there. And so with that in mind, how do we begin and where are we going and how are we going to end up, and can everybody reach that particular goal? So lately I've been in the media, and so with that comes leadership. With leadership comes great scrutiny. And there are certain individuals who are in leadership roles who are not able to handle the pressure when you're under great scrutiny. But who are the leaders who are able to stand and shoulder that scrutiny without losing focus? That is critical. Because if you are able to not lose focus, then you're still able to navigate and to reach your end goal. So I just want to talk to you for a little bit about a couple of things. So, leadership. And if you're in a spotlight today and you are in a leadership role, guess what? You can't hide behind anybody because guess what? You got mail. All eyes are on you. Y'all remember that? You got mail? All eyes are on you. Because certain leadership roles calls for you to be always front and center, and you have to understand that people are looking to see how you're going to navigate certain things and how you're going to come out on the other side. So you cannot hide behind anybody. Another thing that I've learned in this leadership path of mine is everybody should not be a leader. Now, pause, don't look to your left, do not look to your right. Your potatoes should stay on your plate. But everybody should not be a leader. But how do I tell certain individuals, even within my own organization, this role is not for you? Leadership 101, or is it Leadership 1001? Do we have to take a long journey to get there? Everybody that's in a leadership position does not have the capability of leading. But we as leaders are just so shy to tell folks, yeah, I need the giggles, you're not going to be great in this job. But guess what? We're failing a whole organization by not speaking up. Do I have a witness?
Amen.
Yeah. We're failing a whole organization because we have yet to embrace that we need to advise others how to be successful, how to navigate through some challenges and say, this position is not for you, so let's pivot for the good of everybody. I've learned that in my 26 years in law enforcement, but also too in my years in leadership roles. So another one I want to just prick your skin about, guess what? If you're a leader, you cannot have thin skin.
Amen.
You cannot, I got an amen on that one, that's good. If you are a leader, you cannot have thin skin. But let me tell you this, you need to be prepared for criticism, because it's coming. But also too, you cannot have thin skin if you're not criticizing yourself. It's called self-awareness. It's called emotional intelligence, right? So you cannot have thin skin even when you are looking in the mirror and you say, I didn't stack up quite as well as I thought I should. So therefore, I cannot fall apart. I just need to tweak some things in order for me to be better. So you can't have thin skin, right? Also too, in leadership roles, guess what? Some of us have leadership crisis, identity crisis. We don't know what kind of leader we are. We don't know if we are a transformational leader, a Democrat leader. We don't know if we're a transactional leader. We don't know if we are a servant leader. We don't know if we are a chaos leader. Yeah? Please don't look at nobody. We don't know whether or not we are a coaching leader, right? We don't even know which bucket we fill and how we are going to be better within our own organization. So if you are having an identity crisis, guess what? Your people don't know how to relate to you and figure out, well, how can they do a better job for you? I've learned that. Let me give you an example. I've learned that when I was a sergeant and just got promoted as a sergeant, in my first assignment, I learned that I needed to go in and not actually disrupt anything, just to actually evaluate what is going on. So one of the things that I started to do was I started to have a conversation with all of my officers in one-on-one to figure out who they are, where they are in the organization, and how can I help them to get there. So in that interviewing and meeting conversation what I had with everybody, I was just taking these detailed notes, and I was listening. I thought I was listening intensely. But what I did not do, I did not hear how can I lead that individual themselves. I was looking at the whole group, and I didn't carve out how can I be a leader for Tracy. for John, for Doug. I put everybody in a big bucket, but I failed to identify that this person needs a little bit more affirmation. Every time they come in, I gotta tell them, you did an excellent job. This person here, I need to tell them, oh wow, you can be a leader one day. I need to give them encouragement to study. This person, I need to really stay hard on and say, you will not mess up, not on my watch. I failed to do that. Now I've learned how to be a collective leader, but also to a personal leader to each and every one that I'm leading. So, with that being said, another takeaway that I have for you today, leadership development. Some of us, we get in these leadership roles, right? And we got the certifications, we have the training, we have the expertise, we have these clubs that we are a part of, and it's leadership here, leadership there, leadership and everywhere, right? But yet it's still, we're stagnated. We're still in the same spot. We still think the same way. Because we've yet to embrace that change is okay. Change is acceptable. You can be a part of that change and yet it still be effective. I'm so proud of LMPD that they allowed me to be Jackie and to push change. To drive them to a space where I know that LMPD should be. We should be one of the best departments in the nation. And as long as I'm here, we're going to get there because Louisville, you deserve it.
Amen.
And guess what? It's time. It's time. So in this leadership role, we must understand that we all need to figure out, are we still in the beginning stages of leadership? Or can we morph and become the leader in which everyone expects for us to be? And who we can be. So I don't know where you fall in that bucket. And I'm hoping that you fall right where you need to be. And not still be in an identity crisis mode. Because we as a citizen, we as a city, we deserve and we need great leaders to rise up among us and to make sure that our city stays safe and it's a welcoming city and that people want to come to Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you. I'll stand by for some questions. Any questions of me?
Actually, based on the last meeting, this is the exciting question. Well, one question I have is, how do you compare Louisville to Atlanta, either the police department when they approach it or just the city general? What are we going to hear? Maybe comply to Louisville.
Great. So coming to Louisville, especially for the department, there was a lot of equipment, a lot of training that LMPD did not have. And so it was shocking to know that our department was behind in some areas. And so with Metro Council being so supportive and making sure we had the funding and making sure that we identify those areas, those specific areas in which we were deficient in. And so that was a great deficiency, but also too, as I talk about leadership, there wasn't proper leadership training within LMPD. And so now we have embraced that and we have brought it here to LMPD. And so I'm excited that I got with the University of Louisville Business College, and we were able to create with my ideas and giving it to them, and they were able to create what we have now, a Sergeant's Gold Merit Leadership course, and it's for 7 months. And so, and also too, they get college credit. That was overdue. Because if we expect for this department to thrive, we must also too put ourselves in a position where we have a strong succession plan of leaders. I told my department, I was very upfront, I told the mayor, I said, when my time here has ended, whatever that looks like and whenever that is, there is no reason for a national search to take place. your next chief is here. That's how I feel. Your next chief is already here. And so that's how I lead, because my job is to make sure I'm grooming up the next person in order for us to have a great succession plan and not to have gaps. And that's a lot of it, just the equipment and resources and training was lacking, and so now we're on par.
Good afternoon, Chief. My name is Walt Kuno. My wife and I were driving home from Florida on a sunny spring day last year. It was April 10th. My son was on the 3rd floor of the Old National Bank building. I want to thank Officers Wills and Galloway for running in. Your officers rescued him on 9/07. It was a phone call that I will never forget. I thank you for all your LMPD officers saving many lives that day, potentially my son's too. A few days later at the Cathedral of the Assumption, there was a service and you attended. I was able to feebly talk to you for just a minute. Then you spoke. I don't remember what you said, but your message resonated in the church. I thought you really have it, whatever it is. Now after I read your bio, not surprisingly to me, is that you have a deep faith and that you preach. You are the founder or senior pastor of Unstoppable Praise Ministries. My question is, how has your faith informed your service as our police chief?
Without my faith, I couldn't stand here today. My faith has given me the platform I need in order to stay grounded, to stay focused. I rest on the prayer of Solomon of wisdom, that every decision that I make, that I'm using wisdom to make it, because I'm impacting so many lives, the officers' lives, communities' lives. So I operate utilizing my faith, and so I'm able to navigate this. And that was a horrible day, and on that day it was a horrible day for me personally that I'll never forget. But my faith allowed me to stay focused and together in order to provide the leadership needed at that time for this city. So I stand here on faith.
Chief Keith Miller, can I get another amen? Because that was really appreciated right there. We need more leaders in the town, the city. So when you look at leadership, you have mentors, right?
Yes.
So what city or folks did you look up to that you thought you'd want to do this way?
Wow. And so I must say, the greatest mentor that I had is my late father. Yeah.
Thank you.
Flip Elgin. Several years ago, this club was forming its community impact committee, and we were trying to decide what we were going to focus on. One of the things we looked at was the recruiting message from the city of Lexington and the city of Louisville. The city of Lexington seemed to be focused on community service, while the city of Louisville's message was very militaristic. I'm wondering if that has changed more to community service.
Okay. So when we, and let me give you a little bit of a context on that as well. So when we're speaking about militaristic policing, any law enforcement entity, we have always patterned ourselves as paramilitary. But that has taken legs and went so far right and left. It never just stayed centered to what it is. And so with that being said, I require a disciplined training academy. I want my recruits to be disciplined because guess what? It starts in the training academy, then it goes outside in the community. If they're trained and they're conditioned to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, Yes, sir, no, sir. That it will actually mirror itself out here in our community every day. We do not train them in warfare, but I would submit to you, on April 10th, when Old National Bank happened, I didn't care who got there to stop that aggression. I needed them to get there. I wanted SWAT there. I wanted SWAT to use their armored trucks. I needed SWAT to bring whatever weaponry they needed in order to save the lives that was in that building. And so with that being said, if we have a, God forbid, an active shooter at a school, who is going but our SWAT unit, who has all the equipment and even expert training in order to stop that behavior? So our academy and how we're training and how we're moving is that it is a disciplined environment. I want our recruits that when they see somebody higher up, they pause and give respect, because that's what is in their brain to do that. They would do it out here on the streets. If they're encountering you and things are escalated, or they're able to pull it back down, because now they understand how to de-escalate. And so again, train and structure does not equal militarizing our police agency. We have a structured police department, and that's what you deserve. And I need from my recruits to always remain structured and order. And I had to tighten that up too, because I ran the police academy, the largest police academy in Georgia, was Atlanta. I had to make sure that was tight, because I didn't want to have to fire recruits because they weren't disciplined, when we need to train and teach them how to be. So.
Thank you, Chief, for being here today. My name is Pat Payne. I got a question. Do you control and manage the Metro Corrections Department? And if not, why not?
Boy, that thing is loaded, isn't it? That's a loaded question. I need to answer this with my head down. Hold on, sorry. No, I don't. Deputy Mayor James, that's his area, and he has a chief over corrections. LMPD is a lot, so I'm good with LMPD and running that and managing that. But whatever another metro entity needs in support, then I'll make sure that I avail myself to that entity, and so we can work together in concert and in partnership. So no, that's going to be Deputy Mayor James Shop. Yes, sir. Wow.
Thank you for being here. I'm Maggie Harlow, and I am so appreciative to have you in leadership. It's tremendous.
Thank you.
You know, the whole pandemic, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, all of that brought such stark contrast to our society, just the gap. I personally believe that we actually all live inside that gap, and that it isn't necessarily as divisive as it optically is, that we all want police to be safe, and we all want citizens to be safe. So I want to know how we as citizens can help stand in that gap and be with your officers in ways, and be with each other in ways that help us realize we are all actually in that space in between.
Great question. So one of the things that we're doing a little bit different in LMPD, and I as your chief, being more intentional about how we move in the community. That was lacking there. That was lax there. How can we be intentional about creating an environment, creating forums where law enforcement and the community can come together and we can get to know each other, and rebranding ourselves, for one, two, but also two, doing community policing differently. What works here in Louisville? I don't care what happens in Atlanta. I don't care what happens in Chicago or any of these other places. I'm concerned about what's happening here in Louisville. So therefore, like you're seeing the Meet Your Beat officer, that is another way of community policing that we have never done before. And I believe you're the first department in the nation is doing something like that. But being consistent in how we deliver those initiatives, and it won't just be we're warm here and then it cools off. And then the community is feeling like, what happened? that breeds mistrust. And that's one of the things that I don't want us to do. I want us to be consistent. So how can you fill in the gap? And I've been telling individuals, and the word is getting out, right? I love the text messages. I love the one-on-ones. I support you, support the department, but my folks need to hear it loud and clear. Every opportunity you get, if you see an officer and you say, I support you, come to the division. They need to see you. You don't have to drop off anything. They'll appreciate it. But they want to see your face and they want to hear you say, we are behind you, LMPD. But we're behind the officers and doing it the right way too. It's what it is, guys. You want good police officers in our city and allow me to address ill behavior, but to give us grace at the same time to do that. And so that's how we can do better and making sure that when we're engaging each other, that we're intentional and allow us to rebuild. But it's going to take time, Ms. Mandy, but I know that we're able to do it. But those messages, you know, putting up a sign and say, I support LMPD. Let's move away from it possibly feeling divided. And now we're coming together because guess what? Public safety impacts us all. And we have a role to play. And so when you see something happening in your community, call us, please. Use the anonymous hotline. We need your help because, again, there's no investigation that we do that does not need the human element. Technology is great. If we're going to use it, we get it funded, we'll use it to the max, but nothing can get in front of or replace the human element of your buy-in, you telling us information, us sharing, and us solving that case. You will never hear me say that I don't need your help because I do.
Chief, thank you so much for being here today and addressing us. My name is Fred Callen, and I am the co-chair of Rotary's recently developed Gun Violence Reduction Committee. In fact, we've reached out to you, and you've been scheduled and had a chance to meet with us yet, but we're going to set that up. And I'm so glad to know that today you addressed the questions of leadership. This question is somewhat overlapping with Maggie's question, and I just asked maybe you can drill down a little bit more. I don't know, I don't remember exactly when you came to Louisville, but you're no doubt very much involved, aware of the Breonna Taylor situation and what happened there, and this club responded through the development of to that crisis in development, something called the West Louisville Housing Initiative, which you may know about. But we went through a lot of trauma as a result, as a community. And in fact, every single part of this community. And then this past spring, of course, we were hit with a different type of violence with the Old National shooting. And as a direct result of that, this committee that I mentioned was established because Rotary, as a community organization, wants to help, wants to be impactful. We want to do something that we can. And we've met with Deputy Mayor James, and we thank him very much for his opportunity, for his sharing time with us, so we know a little bit about some of the things that the city is working on. But my question to you specifically is, in light of the history that we've come through, and knowing that you, as you mentioned, are subject to scrutiny and are sitting in the middle of all this, have you had a chance, or do you have some thoughts specifically, some of which you've shared, about how the LMPD is going to address this concern in the community, both from the standpoint of violence that we've seen, and also from the standpoint of developing community trust? Thank you.
Yes, sir. So for the community trust, again, those making and ensuring and standing up and creating more of those policing, community policing initiatives and meetings and listening sessions, having listening sessions that are about results, they're about solutions. And I'm sure everybody here agrees that we can have a discussion, but if we walk away and still don't know where we're going, what's the direction, sometimes we feel that it's a waste of time. And so with that, I want to make sure that we're intentional as to how we are developing those to walk away with solutions. So one of the things that we did within LMPD, because the John Jay Institute was here, and a part of that was truth and transformation training, where it was another type of procedural justice training dealing with community trauma, but also dealing with police officers' trauma as well. So from the top down, from the chief on down, including myself was in this training, everybody in your LMPD department received that training. To actually have that 8-hour session to really look and see where we are as a city, how the community feels about LMPD, some of the impact, some of the trauma that they experience, and for them, the officers, to also open up and share how they feel. It was well received. I'm happy to say not one officer resisted that training. Not one. From top down. Because we understand it is needed. But it doesn't stop there. And that's why I want to make sure I'm very clear. We can't start something and the next thing you know, it just goes away. We're consistent. And so again, more of that training is going to be provided every year, so it will not be lost on anybody where we are and how we need to do better and get there. So that is one. So making sure that we are understanding and hearing the community and being open about it and not turning a blind eye like it doesn't exist. It does exist. And we have to just hit it straight on. Now with the gun violence, I stood up and created here the non-fatal shooting unit. And so again, homicide deals with the homicides of those who have tragically, unfortunately lost their life. But the non-fatal shooting squad has been now set up where we're going after those individuals who are trigger pullers and who have shot somebody. It just so happened they did not pass away, but they could have been a homicide victim. Now we have a concentrated group who is actually looking at those cases. And I'm happy to say they work those cases just like they're working a potential homicide. And now we're seeing more arrests and more of a clearance rate because I had to bring that group out and formulate it because I knew it would work, and it is working. But that's just one of the things that we're doing, and a couple of things that we're doing. But we have to continue to brainstorm and to come together like here. I'm open to your ideas. Let me say this. I am a chief. I want to hear you. I'm a leader in this leadership role, but I don't know everything. That's why I have a team. It's not a Jackie thing. It's a we thing. I need you to help me. Help me keep this city safe and help me keep those that need to go to jail in jail so they would not prey on anybody else and they become a victim. Period. We deserve to have peace and love.
Hello, Chief Jacquelyn. Kevin Field, CEO of Google Central.
Say my whole first name.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for bringing a great message on leadership today. I think we'll all come away inspired by your words and your deeds. One of the first times I heard you speak at one of the early news conferences, I heard a vision that you had, and you touched on it some today. The idea of advancing community-oriented policing. And I said, wow, I love hearing that because that's ultimately, we all need to be engaged in helping our city, our communities, our neighborhoods be safe. So my question is maybe to get you to restate that vision and then also talk about some plans that you're rolling out that will empower us to have community-oriented policing here in Louisville. And then talk about ways that all of us can help from our various perspectives and our various institutions.
Great, thank you, thank you. So again, within the community policing space, so now you should be seeing, and if you haven't, then you can tell me before I leave here today, but you should be seeing more of our officers out of their cars and they're walking. They're walking, they're parking. Everybody has a detail within the divisions and they're parking their cars and they're walking and engaging with the community. I told Mountain Patrol, we feed those horses pretty good. I need to see them downtown. And not just for a parade. We house them, we keep them, we feed them pretty good. I need them walking downtown. Those are your horses, okay? But that's how I have to make sure that I'm intentional and specifically state just that. That's what I do. They need to be downtown. Now we have got sheds, we got for our ATVs to be housed, and I'm so happy that I found funding in our budget. I was able to buy 20 new bikes for that DAP unit for downtown. I need them riding.
Yeah.
20. And then I asked the foundation, give me 20 more, because they spread them out to the other divisions. That's what we're doing differently. And because your funding, your tax dollars, and when we're getting those things approved in the budget, I need to be able to put those and implement those things there. And again, with our community policing, I need more officers to join the force, and so I can expand community policing in a way that it should be. And so again, those recruitment dollars that was placed in our budget is a huge game changer. So now we can do more digital marketing to target those individuals that may be interested in joining, and make sure we don't lose that interest and move them through the process a little bit quicker, but right. Quicker, but right. But we're seeing those applicants. And there's another initiative. Now we're going to be able to, we're going to launch it and we're going to get this all together. But now we'll have a recruitment community policing app that I'll be able to develop and roll out. So now all these nonprofit organizations that are here in our city that say they do great work, we're going to load you into an app and we're going to make sure we get those people to you. That's what LMPD is going to be doing. And so again, that's community policing. So we have to get out of this mindset of, again, we have officers that's going from door to door to door to door. Those days are not there anymore, like when I came through in the Stone Ages, right? That's what we used to be able to do. Community policing now has to be revisited and re-envisioned as to how we can do it a little bit better and still connect. And so that's what we're doing, just those initiatives. And community policing is on the top of mind because it's important for us as officers to make sure that we're connecting with you and we're meeting your needs and that we're building relationships. Guys, we need you. We can't do it by ourselves. So that's just a little tip of it.
Am I the final question? I see final question up here. Okay. I'll make it a good one. My name is Alice Bridges. I worked much of my career, Chief, in healthcare in our community, and a lot of what we saw was a revolving door of people being arrested on the street who were addicted or drunk or mentally ill, sent to jail or sent to the hospital, and then back out on the street again. Tell us about your thoughts on diversion programs, that, like the living room that we had for a little bit and then went away. What can we do to better utilize your officers' time and better spend our community's money and to treat people who need help and not to be in jail or a very expensive ER bed?
Yes, ma'am. Great question. So let me say this as well, and I've said it before. Law enforcement, we never wanted to be in the business of handling the mentally ill, because that is just not our expertise, right? But again, who was going to handle it but law enforcement, because we did not have an entity like 7 counties. We didn't have social workers groups that were actually co-responding with law enforcement. This is just now come on the scene to be highlighted as a need within the last 5 or so years, if not 8. And so again, I'm all for open for diversion programs, but it has to be accountability with the diversion program. And so again, I've seen it as well where individuals are not get arrested and we're putting them in those programs, but yet still there's not the services there to make sure that they're getting the services before they're released out back on the street. And so again, there's a gap there. If we don't fill that gap, then we're going to just continue to encounter that individual. So the diversion program needs to be set up in such a manner that they are getting their medication, they're getting those psychological services, they're getting whatever they need in order for them to be stable before they make a re-entry back on the street. I am so open to the living room. Of course, I came here after it was closed, but I heard some great reviews from my officers. My officers really root for the living room. So I'm hoping that we can get into that space where we'll have something like that again. I'm all for it. I'll be like, yes, whatever we can get to help us not to have a negative encounter, I'm all for it. And the officers want to help, they do. but we just need those additional resources. So I'm truly for their diversion program, but it has to be a program that has teeth in it, and that if that individual, whatever that may be, if it's a petty crime, if they don't finish doing, if they don't commit, then we deal with that individual. That's the only way for it to work and be effective in a diversion program as far as crime is concerned, and for the mentally ill, having somewhere we can place them and they're getting that help. Yes, you have my body and my officers. Thank you.
You said we have her buy-in. In my opinion, you've got our buy-in, because I told you the Q&A would be the best part. I mean, if you weren't enlightened by that, you feel we're good anything, but they smite your individual definition, I guess you were listening, but I think you should know. You talked about different types of leadership for different individuals on your staff or whatever, and you talked about some of the overall general leadership. I don't know what, she's more than one, but I can guarantee you one type of leader she is, it's transformative. And I can see based on the stuff she's doing, this year would be a lot different than it would have been if she got here. So I want to thank you for that. A couple of important announcements before we adjourn. We still need bell ringers for the Red Kettle campaign, so for the next 3 Saturdays. So Steve, George, where's George? There he is, over there in the corner. So talk to George about to sign up for one of the next 3 Saturdays as a bell ringer. And as Lori mentioned, our annual meeting, holiday party was Thursday, December 14th at Big Spring Country Club, same place we had previous years. Please RSVP so we can put together the numbers. It's a wonderful event. Greg Braun, one of our best presidents ever, and Barney Sutton organize every year. And it's always a good time. There'll be live music, dancing, games, off-track betting, and win. Prizes, and best contest, and of course, delicious food and beverages. So, hope to see you there. Our scheduled speaker next week is, I heard this guy at World Trade Center, he was great. Last regular meeting of the year, by the way. Jamal Musher, who was the president and CEO of Valvoline Global, which is based in Lexington, a very global entity, a lot of people don't know much about. I think it's just going, oil change locally. It's more than that. So please consider writing a guest for this and get this QR code on the screen. But, all guests, you want to meet over there in the corner, and Craig Schumer will take you through a 3 to 5 minute presentation, discussion on what we're all about. Thanks,
Don't forget the door prize. Don't forget the door prize.
You missed some time to book. Come on. Okay, one last thing.
One like 2 rings are off.
Oh, yeah.
Ring bell. We're playing ring
Okay,
bell.
get a picture. She's gambling now. Come on.
You get to choose from a whole box of books.
9983. 9983.
David? 9983? All right. Come on up after the meeting.
Must be present to win. 0051.
David had it. We have a winner. We have a winner.
Well, we get 2 winners. Who's got 0051? Nobody? David, you're one of them. So.
All right. Thank you.
Next slide.